So WrestleMania Night 2, WrestleMania 39 Night 2 is over and done with. The show is over. And there are mixed feelings, right? So this time we started with a beast failing a giant and ended with a tribal chief defeating a prince. Not the way I thought it was going to go.
You're listening to the Awcast.
So it's interesting if you look at night 1 and night 2 that night 1 started with an undesirable outcome and ended with a desirable outcome. And then night 2 flip-flopped that. So night 1, you started with Austin Theory defeating John Cena, and then you ended with the hero story of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens defeating the Usos. So you flip-flop that on night 2 with Brock Lesnar defeating Omos and ending with the heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, deflating victory of Roman Reigns over the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Sorry, I got an eyelash. So I waited a couple of hours before recording this because I wanted to let it all kind of sink in, and I wanted to not do something that really annoys me when other people do it, which is judge an entire thing by one thing you didn't like. And usually it's the last thing. So like when you're watching like a long running TV series and the last episode, something happens you don't like, and then all of a sudden it makes you hate the entire series because of that one thing. And I think that's short-sighted. I think that's like an impulsive gut reaction, and I understand it, but I don't agree with it, and it really annoys me. So I didn't want to be like, okay, well, I didn't like the outcome of that main event, so WrestleMania sucked. You know what I mean? I just don't like it when people do that. So I did not want to be what I don't like. So I wanted to let it, marinate a little bit, think about it, really kind of take in the entire event and the entire night, kind of judge it by itself. Man, this eyelash will not leave me alone. And just kind of figure out how I actually feel about this WrestleMania. So comparing the nights, I do believe, regardless of the outcome of the Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes match, I do believe night 1 overall, start to finish, was the stronger night. I think you had overall more matches that were it's hard because the matches on night 2 were really good as well. And there was a lot of entertainment, a lot of, emotional stuff going on there as well. For some reason, I just felt like night 1 had more matches that I personally connected with. And that could be subjective. It could just be me. And it might not have anything to do with the actual quality of the matches or the card itself. But for me, I was more invested in most of the matches in night 1 than I was in night 2. So opening match on both nights was, they were both shorter matches. They were both involving people that weren't going to work a long time. And they were both fairly predictable outcomes, but they did what they needed to do. They were matches that had a lot of hype, featured big stars, and kicked things off and got you. It was kind of like a little appetizer. And I think they both served their purpose in that way. I think probably for me, Austin Theory versus John Cena was more entertaining, more just had more of a connection for me. I didn't really care about the Brock Lesnar Omos match. So that's kind of the way the night went for me, with a few exceptions, of course. Night 1, you had the men's tag team showcase, and it was a really good match and had some really good moments in it. But I liked the women's from night 2 better. I thought that was a really good match as well. I didn't love the outcome of it. I liked the outcome of night 1, and maybe that kind of painted things a little bit too. But with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler walking away with that victory, I didn't love that, but I did love a lot of things that happened in that match. I loved that Chelsea Green was on WrestleMania and had some cool double team moves. Had her typical scared heel stuff, but instead of just like running away, she jumps off the top rope onto everybody else to get away from Raquel, which I thought was funny and still showed she's willing to do whatever. So you had some strong moments in that, and both of those matches did what they needed to do, which was exactly what they said they were going to do, which is showcase some talents that deserved to be there but didn't really have stories going into the event. So I really like that, and I hope they continue that trend. That was a nice way to do it. You had on night 1, you had that United States Championship, which again was, I don't want to call it a throwaway match, but it was just kind of your appetizer, your opening match. Whereas on night 2, you had one of the best matches of the entire event, which was your triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship, Gunther defending against both Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. And that match was everything that it was promised to be, which is, as Sheamus would say, banger after banger after banger after banger. It was just a banger of a match, and it was hard hitting. The chops were so brutal. Everybody's chest was bleeding and red and busted open and all kinds of there's one point where Sheamus did the beats of Baldwin like nearly 30 times on Drew McIntyre, and the finish with Gunther power bombing Sheamus basically on top of Drew McIntyre's head, and then power bombing Drew McIntyre again to get the pinfall and standing tall. It was a really powerful match. It was, like I said, it was one of the best matches of the night. It was kind of aside from the main event, it was the show stopper, the show stealer. I believe I think it was the best match on the card, aside from the emotional impact and the skill involved in the main event. Even though I didn't like the outcome, I think that was a fantastic match. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute. Didn't have a whole lot of surprises on night 2. You had more involvement from like celebrities and stuff like that on night 1. You did have a couple of things. You had Shane McMahon come out only to tear his quad. Everybody thought, he just tweaked his knee or whatever. And then you find out from Triple H at the press conference afterwards that he freaking tore his quad. And it's like, oh man. But, kudos to Snoop Dogg and Miz for calling an audible and jumping in there and not missing a beat and just, playing it out beautifully, brilliantly to the point where it almost looked like Shane's injury was on purpose. But obviously it wasn't. And he did legit get hurt. So that was really good. Let's see. I'm trying to remember all the stuff that happened. The Bianca Belair defending the Raw Women's Championship against Asuka. Both of them had really good entrances. We learned from Triple H in the press conference that the little girl, the contortionist that came out with the Divas of Compton, the dance troupe that came out with Bianca, she had actually lost her mom that morning, and so that was a huge deal. And she comes out there just completely unaffected, just does her thing. Doesn't want to miss the opportunity. That was really cool of WWE to do that and incorporate them, and it was a great entrance. People on Twitter were like saying this is the greatest entrance in WrestleMania history and stuff like that. I don't know about that, but it was a really emotionally fulfilling entrance, and very fitting with all the dance that kind of goes with Bianca Belair's whole vibe. She always comes out, doing the skipping and dancing thing. So that was really cool. And they had a really good match. And the Mist with Asuka, which is a perfect tribute with the Great Muta being inducted in the Hall of Fame. We got to see them on stage, the Hall of Fame inductees, and all that. So it was still a stacked card, not quite as long as night one. I don't know. I didn't really keep track of how many matches were on each night, but it didn't feel quite as impactful overall. I don't know why, and that could just be me. It could just be me. Just I don't know, whatever the reason is, but I still enjoyed all the matches. Like I said, I didn't really care about the Brock Omos match, but I thought it did what it needed to do. Brock, struggling to tackle this giant, then eventually getting him in the F5 was fitting, and I like the way that played out. We had to see Bobby Lashley for a minute, so that was cool. One thing I will note, and this is something that I've had a nitpick about with Peacock ever since WWE moved the all their content to there from the WWE Network. I didn't know, and I found out tonight why. But I didn't understand why I had to deal with commercials during pay-per-views. I'm like, well, I mean, I know I'm not paying. I'm just paying the monthly fee, so it's like I'm not paying for a pay-per-view. So I just thought it was Peacock's model, and that it frustrated me because sometimes it would interrupt entrances. I'd miss backstage segments and different things like that. And I'm like, why am I getting so many commercials during these premium live events? And then tonight, twice they mentioned why. The first time was Xavier Woods there was a backstage segment, and they were showing some 2K23 footage of the triple threat match, and he mentioned that if you're watching Peacock Premium Plus, then we're going to do this now. And then Michael Cole later on said, okay, during this break, if you've got Peacock Premium Plus, you'll see this. And I'm like, I had no idea that there was a Peacock Premium Plus. That's on me. I just didn't know. I guess I have just a basic Peacock, and I'm not going to pay for the Premium Plus just for the pay-per-views, because that would be the only reason I'd be paying for it, because that's really the only thing I watch on Peacock is WWE. So it's just a little frustrating that I'm missing, and I know it's probably extraneous stuff that doesn't really matter most of the time, but it annoyed me that it started to interrupt the Hell in a Cell entrances, and I thought it was going to interrupt the entire entrance of Edge and everything. So I was a little disappointed by that. That was another thing. I think some of my expectations for night two might have been a little higher than they should have been, because night one was so good, and I think I put pressure on it. And I had said in the last video and in the last podcast that if night two was as good as night one, that this could be the greatest WrestleMania, or one of the greatest WrestleManias in a long time, if not of all time. And I think I expected some things to happen that didn't happen. And like I said, we got a lot of surprises, a lot of celebrity involvement and stuff like that last night. So tonight, I was hoping for a couple of things. One, I was really hoping that the rumors were true during the Hell in a Cell match. When Edge's entrance started, the Brood music, or Slayer, I guess it wasn't, whatever. When the Brood Edge popped up on the screen, I'm like, okay, they are going to do this. And then Edge comes up alone, and I'm like, okay, don't get freaked out. Just wait. Maybe they come later. And there was rumors that Gangrel was going to be there, and the AEW even lent out Christian to be there, and that the Brood was going to be back in full effect just for this one-time appearance. And so instead, Edge comes out alone. I'm like, okay, maybe Judgment Day gets involved later, and then the Brood comes out. to aid Edge against the Judgment Day. Maybe that happens. So we get Finn coming out. They start the match. They get into the match. In the middle of the match, Finn takes a ladder shot that splits him open, and he has to get staples live in the ring. And they have to clean him up, make sure he's good to go, and then he gets right back up and just finishes the match. So hats off to Finn Balor for that. I couldn't imagine just be like, just staple me up and put me back out there. That's just not in me, I guess. I don't know, but that's good on him for doing that and seeing it through. And not only seeing it through, but it seemed to motivate him to take it to the next level, because it was after that he gained some momentum and did the dive through the table from the cage and all that stuff. But ultimately, Judgment Day didn't come out. No Brood, no Christian, no Gangrel. So I was really disappointed by that. I wasn't sure if the rumors were true, if there was any validity to them at all, but I was hoping. I was really hoping, because I think that would be cool. That'd be cool for the fans. It'd be cool. But we did get some tributes. Edge used both the Impaler DDT and the Kill Switch during the match, so that was cool at least. Maybe they couldn't work it out, so he's like, okay, I'll just do their moves, and that'll be something. So it's fine. It is what it is. It was still a good match. Red and purple weapons was a little weird, but whatever. And they stayed in the cell. It's very rare that a Hell in a Cell match stays in the cell. And I don't know how I feel about that. I know some people were happy about it. Oh, I'm glad it stayed in the cell and stuff. I like when they go to the top, but maybe they didn't need to push it to that level with this one. Plus, Edge is a veteran. He doesn't need to be taking any dives off the cage. And after Finn got staples in his head, he probably didn't need to either. So, let's be safe with that. I'm trying to think if there's any other matches that I want to highlight or talk about, or if that was it. That might have been it. See, it just doesn't feel like there were enough. I mean, not enough, but it doesn't seem like there were as many matches on night 2. And it's like when it got to 9:30 my time, because I'm in Central, I'm in Texas. It was only the main event left. I'm like, man, this is going to finish early. Obviously, the match went a little bit long. I think it ended around 10:30 my time, which would have been 11:30. So about 3.5 hours instead of the 4 hour plus that night 1 got, which if you combine it together, you're talking a very long event. And I get that. But just in comparison, it didn't feel as long. It didn't feel as impactful to me. You had a couple of matches, the triple threat, the main event, and the Hell in a Cell match were the highlights, and everything else was just not quite as deep or emotionally invested and all that stuff. So, but yeah, and then you have the main event, which is Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. And I'm one of the many that really wanted and expected Cody to be the one to end the reign of Roman Reigns. And it didn't happen. And I tweeted out right after it happened that I don't think I've ever been more deflated after a main event in my life. And I still think that's true. I think I was so hyped and so built up for this. And the match, the progression of the match as Cody battled against Roman and fought from underneath and then gained momentum. And then, the referee got knocked out and all this stuff, people get involved, and Cody just keeps coming and coming and coming. And then he hits the crossroads twice, about to hit it the third time, and then solo. And it's like, you're like, oh no, he's going to kick out of this. He's going to kick out of this. And then he doesn't kick out. And I was just like, I was on the edge of my seat. And as soon as that happened, I just collapsed back on my couch. And I was just like, what just happened? I couldn't believe it. Now, first of all, it was a stellar match. The storytelling in this match was so good, so on point, so strong. Leading up to this match, everything that surrounded this match was great. When you look in comparison to night one's main event, which was also Bloodline, the Usos defending and losing the undisputed tag team titles. Sorry, a door slammed on my back in the back of my house. That was weird. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. The Usos defending and losing the undisputed tag team titles to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That leg of the storyline had been building up for a year for Sami, for 2 years plus for Kevin. He was one of the first opponents in Roman Reigns' reign, and he got defeated. Then he came back and fought him again and got defeated again. And he had been battling the Bloodline this whole time. Then Sami Zayn, his whole story, and those two coming back and finally defeating part of the Bloodline, getting a chink in their armor, so to speak. It makes sense that they would be the ones to, because they struggled, they fought for a long time. And Cody, this is his first battle with the Bloodline. He's new here. He hasn't been there for years. And as soon as he came back after the Seth Rollins thing, he gets injured, he goes away. Now he's back, and he goes right after that title. And everybody wanted to believe it. I wanted to believe it. I wanted to experience it so bad. I've been on this journey with Cody. I didn't see all of his indie stuff, but I caught up on all of that. I followed the entire AEW journey, his coming back to WWE, that whole epic saga of Cody going from, as quoted, undesirable to undeniable. And man, somebody is making a lot of noise in my house. I'm sorry. I'm hearing all kinds of banging and crap. Going through all of that, and to see it in like that. Now, granted, I know it's not the end. And as I've sat here for a couple of hours, like I said, taking all of this in and thinking about this, it kind of makes sense. Like everybody else that has come at Roman, there's been a longer story told, except for with Cena, who just came back and was like, and then he got defeated and went away. But everybody else, there's been long-term storytelling. When you think about it in that way, yes, you can say Cody and Roman have never fought. He could be the one that figured out the secret formula. He's got the kryptonite, whatever the case may be. Roman doesn't know him. He's fought everybody else multiple times. He's fought Brock so many times. He's fought Daniel Bryan and Edge and so on and so forth. All of these guys that he's beaten, he's fought them over and over and over again through the years, but he's never fought Cody. So Cody could just come surprise him with something and just out of the woodwork, So you could have gone that way. But everybody else has gone up against Roman and fallen. And when you look at the people that he's beaten, and they listed them off multiple times throughout the night, but when you look at somebody like Brock Lesnar, who very few people actually beat Brock, and you see that Roman beat him multiple times. Drew McIntyre. I mean, these are heavy hitters. These are top level guys that Roman just puts down. And then Cody comes, and he's a guy that's been away, did his own thing outside WWE, and has come back, and yeah, he's proven himself and all that stuff. But from WWE's perspective, from a storyline perspective, would it make sense for Cody to come in and be able to just beat their champ? And no, it wouldn't. Honestly, it wouldn't. As much as I love the story, as much as I love Cody, as much as I think Cody deserves it, as much as I think Cody should have been on that path a long time ago before he ever left and before he ever did the whole AEW thing. I can understand it. And watching the press conference afterwards and hearing Roman, kind of half in character, but then also Triple H talking about the long-term storytelling of this and where things are headed and how they see things playing out a little bit. I won't say I feel better about it, but I will say I understand it more. I can. So I'm a writer too, and I can understand the path of the story, that this is not. It's not time for Cody to finish the story. Really, this part of the story just began for Cody, right? This level for Cody is new, and he's still got years on him, right? It's hard because I wanted that storybook ending. I wanted that fairy tale, and I wanted him to be the guy. And for many reasons. Because I think he deserves it, but because I think he's that good, and because I'm an AEW fan, and I'd love to see the prodigal son come back and take it. But we can't take away the accomplishments of Cody Rhodes. The first Rhodes in the main event of WrestleMania. His father was a legend. Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, was a legend. Everybody knows. And when he first came to WWE, WWF at the time, he was a joke. Mid-card, never going to do anything more than that. Made him dance and wear polka dots. And he made it special. And he was infectious and got people on board with it because he was Dusty Rhodes. Eventually, he goes on to be the mastermind behind a lot of superstars that are big today: Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, so on and so forth. Dustin, Goldust, Intercontinental Champion multiple times Tag Team Champion, big star in WWE, was never going to be world champion, was never going to be in that position. Cody was the one. Cody made it. Cody reinvented himself. Cody proved himself. Cody did something special. And he took the Rhodes name where it belonged, to the main event of WrestleMania. And that's a huge, huge accomplishment for the Rhodes family and a huge accomplishment for Cody. And I don't want to ever take away from that. So, no, he didn't win the title tonight. But I think he's still victorious. You know what I mean? I think this was a huge victory for the Rhodes Runnels family. And this is just the beginning for Cody and WWE. I really questioned him leaving AEW, and I really wondered if it hurt AEW, but I love that everything we've heard coming out of WWE has shown respect for what he did and his part in that. And in a way, it's kind of highlighted it, and it's strengthened Cody's whole persona, and it's transformed him into, for lack of a better term, a superstar. And now this isn't the last WrestleMania Cody Rhodes will main event. It's just the first. Didn't win the big one here. Okay. So now somebody has to come in and take that title from Roman Reigns. And I know a lot of people are saying The Rock. Honestly, if The Rock comes in, for one, shouldn't he be on Roman's side, really? I mean, but if he is against Roman, if that does happen and they main event WrestleMania together next year, whenever, I don't think he's the one that beats Roman. I think Roman beats The Rock and is like, I'm unstoppable. Nobody can touch me. The question is, then who? Is it Cody? Is it still Cody and it's just not now? It's just later? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know who else it could be. Somebody from NXT that comes up and proves that they're. It's an interesting thing that Roman said, and it was, like I said, it was half in character, half not really. But he said in the press conference, he's waiting for somebody to come take it from him, and Triple H kind of played off of that as well. And it's true. It's like they can push somebody, they can push a bunch of people, but it takes a special athlete, a special performer to stand out and like really take that ball and run with it. And there are a handful of names throughout the course of history of wrestling that become the guy. You know, Stone Cold, Rock, your Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, Roman Reigns, to name a few. There's not a whole lot that are the guy. You know what I mean? So who's going to come and be the better? Who's going to come unseat Roman? I don't know. I hope Cody does win the big one. I hope Cody does become world champion and finishes that story. And I hope it's a monumental reign. But speaking on the storyline of the bloodline, I talked about this last night. These longer term storylines and longer reigning, longer lasting championship reigns, I love it. And Roman's like, we're not fast food. This is filet mignon. We're changing the game. I don't think it's really changing the game. I think it's going back to what people have been longing for a long time, which is these titles, these championships, these storylines meaning something, and long-term booking and all of that. I enjoy that kind of storytelling. I think, again, it enhances everyone. It makes it important. It makes these people feel like champions. I never liked it when Brock Lesnar would only show up every couple of months and fight on every other pay-per-view, and was there 3 times a year maybe when he was champion. That was really annoying. But Roman has found a way to make that a hybrid kind of thing where every other pay-per-view he defends the title. He's showing up every few weeks instead of every week. It does make his appearances seem more special, more important, but not like he's not working and not like he doesn't care. So there's a balance there, and I think he's struck it perfectly. And if it's setting him up as this iconic, monumental run as the champ, it's going to take somebody really special, somebody that has gone through everything to get to that point to be able to beat him. And it's going to require, in my opinion, a very personal story, history with Roman. And this could be the very beginning of the storyline with Cody. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with it. But I like it. I like the overall story. I'm still super bummed that Cody did not win this match. It like so took the wind out of me, and it was in danger of painting my opinion of the whole WrestleMania because of it, and I did not want to do that, like I said earlier. But I do appreciate the storytelling. I do appreciate that they have a plan, that they know that they're working towards something special, something bigger. And we'll just have to see where it goes. There's been a chink in the armor, but the bloodline is as strong as ever. And I like that. And we'll see how that plays out. Maybe it takes a faction to face them, and it's not just a bunch of individuals. We've already seen Sammy and Kevin come together. Maybe we need to see that. Maybe we need to have somebody be able to step up and not just a ragtag group of people. Maybe it's something, maybe who knows what they have in the works. The other thing I was a little bit disappointed on, and it feeds into Cody winning. I was hoping, and I knew that it was probably not going to happen just because of so many other factors. And I was trying to rack my brain of who else it could be. But I was hoping, like, I knew the Usos were going to get involved, and I knew Kevin and Sammy were going to come down. The writing was on the wall for that. But then there's Solo, and it's like, who else could come down that could be involved in this? And my first thought was, well, they didn't loan him Christian, so maybe, just maybe, they could make an exception and have Goldust come in and take out Solo. And that would have been cool, but I really doubted it would happen because, Dustin's been very adamant on AEW through and through. So, it is what it is. And then I was like, maybe Randy Orton. He was put out by the bloodline. No word on, I don't know where things stand with his injury and him coming back and all that stuff, but he and Cody have history, so maybe get involved. That would have been cool. It would have been nice. It would have been a nice thing, but it didn't happen. So I was a little disappointed in that too. So yeah, night one, night two, not quite as strong as night one, but still a really solid event. And when you put them together and you talk about all the things that happened, all the moments, all the matches, and again, there wasn't really a bad match. There wasn't a match where I was like, oh my God, it's, bathroom break time. I'm bored. What is this? Why am I watching this? There wasn't a single match on the entire card that I felt like that for. And that is a super rare thing. From top to bottom, I do think this is the best WrestleMania that we've had in a long time. Despite the ending. Despite the ending not going my way, it was still a really good match, and it was still a really great card, and so many talented people were showcased, and I had a good time. I enjoyed myself. I vegged out. I ordered pizza. I watched 2 nights, nearly 8 hours of wrestling content this weekend, and I've still got NXT Stand and Deliver to watch. And now we've got the Raw after tomorrow night, or tonight as you're watching this, and that's like the season opener, right? That's when people come up from NXT. That's when people come back from hiatuses or injuries or whatever. That's when new storylines kick off and that kind of thing. That's typically what happens on the Raw after WrestleMania. So it should be a big show. Looking forward to that, seeing what takes place. Hopefully it's big and we get some surprises and it's a fun show as well. But I enjoyed WrestleMania. just really sad about Cody, but hopeful that this is just the beginning for Cody's story in WWE, and we'll see him holding that title and fulfilling that destiny for himself and for Dusty and for Dustin, for the whole Rhodes family. And so also before I wrap this one up, I want to address the reports that obviously are not confirmed, not finalized, all that stuff yet, that the parent company of UFC Endeavor is possibly purchasing WWE. Interesting. Very interesting. I know they've been looking for a buyer. Don't know how that's going to affect the day-to-day. Obviously, Triple H laid out some numbers, talked about how this WrestleMania broke all the records, previous records for WWE for WrestleMania and across the board. So obviously they are doing very well. And anybody that purchased them would be fools to fix what ain't broken. So we'll see what happens with that. It's going to be interesting. To Combat Sports under the same brand new publicly traded company, possibly. I'll be very curious to see how that's going to affect day-to-day operations, who's in charge, what's what, and all of that. Just as you will, and we'll just have to wait and see on that. So very interesting. I'm better with that than Fox purchasing them, because I don't know that Fox would have done them justice, in my opinion. Or there was like rumors of like Disney and various entities. It would have been interesting anyway. It went with all these big entities in play here, but you're taking a company that knows pay-per-view, knows combat sports, knows that world. It could be a good fit. So we'll see what happens. That's it. Looking forward to Raw. Great WrestleMania. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you thought. If you're ticked off about Cody, or if you are a Roman fan. I love Roman Reigns, by the way. One of the few WWE shirts I own is a Roman Reigns shirt. And a hoodie. I love Roman Reigns, and I love that this version of Roman Reigns finally clicked, and finally he found his place in WWE, and kind of connected with the fans in that way. And this reign is special, whether you love to boo him, or you love to cheer him, you love to put those ones up in the air, or you want somebody to come along and take that title away from him. Either way, it's good. It's good. And all that. I really want Cody to win that title. That's all. So, but other than that, WrestleMania, really good WrestleMania this year. I'm happy. I'm happy overall with the premium live event with WrestleMania. So looking forward to Raw though, and I will stop rambling now and I will let you go. Love to hear what you thought of night 2 and just the overall event, and where you think things are going with Roman Reigns, with the bloodline, with Cody, with whatever, who's coming up from NXT, who's coming back from injury or whatever, who's coming back to the company. Let me know. Leave me a comment below, and you know what to do. Do all that, like, subscribe, notification bell, and all that stuff, and follow me on social media, and come back here for more content soon, because I am going to keep doing this. And next episode, I will explain whatever I've decided to do with this show going forward and this channel. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, keep watching wrestling and stay awesome. Take care.